now, do you want more time for leisure? Look at this guy. He looks like he has all the leisure time in the world. Look how happy he looks, floating there in the pool. Do you want more freedom? Freedom to travel, freedom to do things, freedom to go where you want, not having to work all the time. You've got to ask yourself, do you work long hours? Are you feeling totally overwhelmed by your workload right now at your job? Do you rarely get to go on a vacation? This is something, that we all need. We all need some time in our lives to take at least 1 or 2 trips a year. Do you feel weighed down by life as if luck is not on your side? The reality is that we create our own luck, okay? That's the reality of our lives. So start to envision the life you want now and make it happen. It's 100% within your power. Life is not about working 24/7. 2013 is the year to have the life you want. Open yourself up to the possibilities of creating the financial freedom and the wealth that you desire. It's time to go full speed ahead with your life. And in order to do this, you need a plan on how to get you where you want to go. You can't just go full speed ahead without a plan. You'll crash and burn. In order to be successful, you have to move ahead with a plan of action. So decide that you want to make money trading. Decide this is it. This is what I'm going to do. This is my plan of action. I'm going to move forward this year in 2013 and either become a profitable trader if you already are a trader and not profitable, that this is the year you're going to do it, or maybe you're not trading at all and you've never traded the market, and this year in 2013 is going to be the year that you learn how to trade and make money in the market. So what is your plan of action? If one of your goals for 2013 is to earn more money, that's one of the things in your agenda. Maybe that was something you decided in January as a New Year's resolution. What is your plan of action to do this? One plan of action could be to learn how to trade to make money in the stock market. And again, some of you already are traders. So you might have this plan, have had this plan for a while, but you might not be profitable. So therefore, you've got to get a new plan. Okay, it's time to get a new plan of action. A plan of action that's going to help you make money as a trader. If you decide to make money in the market, you will need another plan of action, and that will be how are you going to make this money trading? You need a comprehensive, detailed, focused, and specific strategy to trade to make money. I cannot stress this enough. There are so many people that want to trade and make money in the stock market, and they do not have a strategy. First of all, there's people that don't even have a strategy at all. And if you can't speak and actually talk in real layman's terms and words what your strategy is, then you probably don't have one. And that is the first thing right there. So you've got to get one, and you've got to get a good one, and one that's very, very detailed and focused. Remember, the early bird gets the worm in life and also in the market, and it's true with trading. So start your morning off with coffee and profit, trading what I'm going to discuss with you today. Trading in the first 30 minutes is like getting a suitcase of money thrown into your lap someday. It's like you get up in the morning, you see a fantastic gap, a stock that's gapping, and it's perfect. It's what I call perfect. I get up in the morning, I'm salivating. It's like somebody threw the suitcase in my lap. It was like that on Friday with ULTA. ULTA was the play of the week last week, and we're going to show that trade today, or one of the trades in that today. It was like somebody just threw the suitcase of money in my lap. Got up in the morning. That is sometimes the way that it is. So beautiful, so easy, so great, but you have to learn how to do it. So how will you know when to spot this opportunity? You rate it. That's how you know. You're going to rate the stock symbol, and that's how you're going to know if it's good enough to trade to make the money in the first 30 minutes, in the early part of the day. Here is a trade. This was back from the earlier part of March. This was Skull. Got up in the morning, rated a scat. It rated 25 points. Here is a beautiful example. I have a rating system that I use, and I rate it, and based on my system, I determine then if it's good and it's going to work and provide an entry to make money early in the morning. The early bird gets the worm. So why is trading the first 30 minutes of the day profitable? Because stocks gap early in the morning. That's why. And because stocks gap, it forces an action by position holders of the stock. In other words, people could own the stock and have to sell out the first 15 to 30 minutes of the day because people need to get out fast. Sometimes they have to get in, but sometimes they're getting out. You might even call it panic activity. It's like a panicky, ah! And this is what happens. And this panic sometimes that you see in these sell-offs quick, early in the first 15, 30 minutes of the day, like that happened in ULTA, is an activity that's being forced, that people that have the stock have to do something. It's a forced action. And as traders, we are trading that action with the big money that owns the stock, for example. So the value in this first 15, 30 minutes of the day is that the stock setups provide good entry with small stops and large moves, so the risk to reward is huge. In other words, you can risk a certain amount of money and trade this time frame and not only make the money in the first part of the day, within the first 30 minutes, but also the risk to reward payout is huge. It is absolutely huge. And this is the reason why I love to trade gas. So there's momentum, number one, which means you're going to get to trade the momentum to make money in the move, whether it's $1, $2, $3, whatever the stock move is, on a normal move for the stock or a big move on the day. And you also will get good entries because lots and lots and lots of people are trading them. And the things are setting up and getting ready to go. And they want to happen early on because people get up in the morning, they see the gap, they say, it's panic. And they say, get me out, we have to do something. Sometimes it happens before the open, which is what's creating the gap, and sometimes it happens right on the open. But either way, lots of players that are in these stocks do not get out of all their positions pre-market. They just don't, okay? So even if there's a drop before the open, which is creating the gap of the sell-off, you will always see a follow-through of that in the open when the gap rate's high. Why? Because they can't get all out pre-market. There isn't enough people to get them out, number one. And number two, they might get a better price if they wait on the open for some of the rest to get out, because sometimes there's covering. And also there's lots of different types of people that have different trading plans for what to do in the cause of an earnings gap or a downgrade gap or any of the types of gaps that happen. And the reality is that all happens in chunks. Post-market, pre-market, on the open, the first 15 minutes of the day, first 30 minutes of the day, and sometimes it continues all day long when the gap is really, really good. But for the purposes of what I do and what I teach, it's all about the beginning of the day, because if you can make money and good money with a huge payout on your risk, that's all you need to do, and you can go on with the rest of your day. So how do you do it? You find a list of stocks that are gapping, and then you rate the gap. You play the highest rated gap on the day. So only play gaps that rate over 20 points. The system I teach is based on 26 points. The object of the system is not to get a perfect score. Okay, the object is to play the highest rated gap, and it's got to be 20 or more. You need to not trade when there's no good gaps. This morning, for example, there was no good gap. Absolutely none. And I saw the market gap down and thought it was a buy, which, by the way, it was. So the reality is the other caveat is to trade extremely good rated gaps to make money, and do not trade when there are not any good gaps. You take the day off. Trade aggressively when there are perfect highly rated gaps, which you will know when you learn the golden gap system. And you learn this system and you don't need to do anything else. But because it's one thing, it's all you need to know to consistently make money in the market. And not only that, the more you do it, the better you get at it. And I'm living proof of that. So making money trading gaps is easy. Once you know how to do it, you just have to learn. So let's look at a few examples here today. This was one back from March as well. This was SCSS. Perry has a question. Let's answer questions at the end, everybody. Okay, I will save them. I will look at them because I want to make sure I get through the time. And Kathy is going to bump everybody over to my room if we go over. I will save them. I will remember them. I won't forget. Okay? In reference to someone's asking me about options, you can do whatever you want with the system. That's not what I created it for. I get that question a lot. What can you do with it in reference to other types of trading? I teach it and I trade equities. If you want to use it in another manner, that's up to you. Many people have asked me that. And people that have already taken my class might be doing it. In fact, I think some of them are. I don't do that. You can use the information as you see fit. And so let's go through the questions and I'll answer all the rest. Let's go through the slides. I'll answer all the rest of the questions. I won't forget you guys. Trust me. You'll just stick around. Let's look at this SCSS. This was a beautiful gap. It happened very, very, very late in the morning on the day of the 4th. It was a Monday. But the reality was it was a good gap. It was a great gap. It was a fantastic gap, and it opened and just dumped right on the open. Look at this thing. Here's the 1-minute chart. Open, showed immediate weakness. So if you had any question at all in your head, any question at all, or wondering what should I do with this, is this going to work, what's going to happen, first of all, you rate it and know it's going to work. Second of all, it opens and starts to show immediate weakness in the first 5 minutes of the day, which I love, and you wait for the setup. Here was the setup right here. Basically, it's like a little green bar sandwich, but it's a tiny little doji, and dojis come before big moves. The entry is right here, right in here, in the specific exact reversal time, beautiful setup with a tight stop. It stops right over here, and it gets to drop right into the next reversal time, which is 9:45. Look at that. Here was the trade. The entry time was 9:35. The price was 17.78. The stop was over 17.92. If you did this trade, the risk was 14 cents. And for example, if you traded 2,500 shares and wanted to short it and risked $350, you have to get out when it starts to bounce into the reversal time. I'll go back to it. You're never going to get out at the exact penny. So once you start to get a tail, you take it off up in the flip. And actually the target on this was 1672 on the daily chart. And it went through it. So you have to get out when it starts to come back up. And I'll show you this. The profit was $27.50. 7.85 times profit on the amount risked in just one play. The entry was within the first 30 minutes of the day, and it made $27.50 in 9 minutes. Someone's asking me, what did this range? You know what? The three that I'm using here, one of them I forget, but the DDS one we'll go over in a minute. But this one I remember on this day, this rated 24 points. And the other one, which we're going to go over, ULTA, rated 22 points. There's one here today, DDS. I don't remember. It was back in February, but it was over 20. Let's go back and look at it. And remember, they don't have to get 26. You just have to rate over 20. And then you watch it open and get the setup. So here was this right here. Do you see this? It gets the drop. As soon as you go down into the reversal time, you've got to be watching to get out of it, or it could go to the next one, which is 10 o'clock. I have a rule of thumb. You get $1 more in something in 5 minutes, you can't give the dollar back. Or if you're up $1,000 or more, you can't give it back where it gets under the comma. I call them comma trades. It goes down here in a bottoming tail. As soon as it starts to go green, it goes 1 penny over the bar, you got to be out. And here, if you look at this here, where this went down here, you can't see it over here. Actually, didn't make it big enough, but 1672 was the target over here to the left. And it crashed right through 17. So that was another reason you would have known. Here's when it crashed through the whole number, right in this time. Did it pass the reversal time? It was already going and underway through the whole number, and then it just bombarded under it. So very fast money. This is an aggressive entry, but the gap rated high, and it's set up with a nice little doji bar and a nice little stop. And again, I have specific exit rules. They're different for everything in the trade. Some of them have to do with targets. You go with the target, and some of them have to do with the actual way the bars are working into the trade. You get a fantastic trade like this. You can't give any of this back. If you want to trade the stock the whole day, which you see it did play out then longer, it did go deeper into the move, you have to just take a second trade. You wait for a rally and get back in. And many of these things can be played several times on the day. ULTA was a perfect example. There was 3-4 trades in that. So the reality is that this all happened very quickly. If you didn't do this, you missed a humongous trade. Now, can you take this later and trade it? Sure. But your day is done right here. I mean, there's no reason to do anything else after this. There's just no reason to do anything else after this. You know, there's no reason. To make almost 8 times the amount of risk in less than 10 minutes is what I call perfection. And this is what you get in these golden gaps. This is the only way, as far as I'm concerned, to trade. There's just the sitting at your desk for 8 hours a day, slaving away at your computer, is just not the way to do it. This is the way to do it. Now, this requires a specific reason to do this, rating the gap and rating it high, and seeing the entry and taking it and not hesitating and having what I call conviction. Conviction to me is I look at this gap and I say, I know this is going to work. I rate the gap. It confirms what I already know because I've been doing this now for over 4 years, going on 5. And then I press the button and have the guts to do it. Why? Because I'm doing this one thing and I'm not doing anything else. And I get really good at something and I become an expert, and you can too. The reality is that if you want to be a successful trader, you're going to have to become an expert in something. And you've got to. That expert quality that you're going to get is what's going to give you an edge to be able to trade and make real money like this. And then you can all of a sudden risk $700, and then you're making almost $6,000 in 10 minutes, and so on and so on and so forth. You got to build yourself up. It all comes from learning it first and getting good at it. Now, here was the one from Friday. This was really just beautiful. When I woke up in the morning, I warned everybody. I said, listen, this stock is whipping. Do it if you have conviction. Do it if you can handle it. And if you can't handle it, don't do it. Because quite frankly, this stock is Freddy and whippy and everything else. But you know what? It traded perfectly. It traded perfectly on Friday, the day of the gap. And this stock doesn't trade perfect every day. This stock can whip around like a banshee. But it didn't on Friday. And you know what? It did this one, boop, up right in here in this green bar. And do you know what? It held this whole number within a couple of pennies. Take it across. Even this pop, with only people getting out in the first couple of minutes of the day, and not only did it just poof and then settled itself right back into itself, it held the whole number, 77 bucks. Look at that. I mean, actually, in real time when I saw that happen, it was so quick, I was searching for a better stop and entry, but if I had wanted to just be hog wild on this thing, I could have shorted it in that tail. That's super aggressive. Because it was ULTA, I didn't do it. Okay, but the reality was it did provide a perfect entry. The first entry could have been up there, though, because it set itself up on the day when it did it. I was watching it here. I was watching it here. I was watching it here. Boop. I said, get ready here. I kept looking, waiting. There's the setup. Stop right over here. And it actually confirmed in this action that it wasn't going higher. Tried to go, couldn't. Did a topping tail, can't. Doji, tried, can't. Hold exactly within several pennies here. Remember, these are areas. This is a resistance. It made a brand new resistance on the day and said, no, no, no. Boom. And then it set up, and then it got the drop. This is ULTA. This is ULTA from Friday. This rated 22 points. 22 is good. You watch it for the entry. So the entry time was 9:37. The price was $76.38 to do the entry and $76.85. I used $76.75, $76.80. I gave it, the spread was just whipping around on this. The spread was like 6 cents, 5 cents, 10 cents. It was moving so fast in the morning. You've got to look at the spread when you're making the stop. The risk was 37 cents, and on 1,200 shares, for example, you would have risked $444. But this is ULTA. This can move $5 on the day. And by the way, it did on Friday. But the first trade, we're just looking at the first trade here. If you took it on the drop and got out, it was into 10.18 when it went under 75 and it started to back up, you got to take it. And I'll go back and show you. But even this trade, even with this trade, with this big of a stop, this is a big stop for me. A 37-cent stop is huge for me. But it was worth it, and I knew it, so I did it. This paid 4.4 times the profit on the amount risk in just one play. The entry was within the first 30 minutes. Highly rated gap, and you made almost $2,000. By the way, this thing went, the low of the day was $72.50. So this is, I'm only just showing you the first play in the first 30 minutes. It did play out all day. It set up again. It set up again. It retested 76. You could have shorted it again and went all the way down to $72.50. The length of this is $4.50. But you're in the trade where? Here. And there's all different kinds of ways to trade this. This was the trade here into the drop. Went past the 10 o'clock reversal time. Once it started to break, it was underway. And you can be so protective. You can lower your stop once this does this topping tail in here and above the base, you can lower it. I didn't do that with ULTA initially because I wanted it to get the breakthrough. But actually at one point, I forget what time it was. It might have been in here. Yeah, here. It retested 76 and I said, you know what? I'm lowering the stop. And at that point then, I wasn't even going to lose money if it failed. But it didn't. Why? Because the gap rated high. But I protected myself no matter what then. I would have been up 30-some cents. Now, I wanted the full trade. But again, this is the beauty of the gap. It provides high payouts with low risk. And that's what you're looking for. If you even had 1 ounce of concern about this gap, when this popped up here and held 77, this was like a thing of beauty screaming at you, take me, take me, take me. This is the perfect example why you get days like today in the market. When I say I get up in the morning and say there's nothing good today, there's nothing good to do. Just don't even trade today, all right? That you're fine with doing that, because when the market wants to go and give you something good, it's going to tell you, here I am. And everything's going to work in conjunction. Learn it. That's the real beauty in the system. Once you learn it, you practice it. Then you practice it and get good at it. And your brain starts to remember the setup over and over and over again, and you're processing the patterns, and you're getting good at it, and then all you need to do is turn it into money. So how can you make money like this in the market? You learn how to pick which stock symbol to rate. You learn how to find high-quality gaps that offer momentum moves in the morning. You learn how to take the position to get the proper risk-to-reward entry. And you learn how to exit the trade and what the target is so you can book money consistently and fast. Learn to read charts with precision. If I had one thing to tell you, you have got to get good at reading charts. We were having a discussion today actually about this. The market environment that we trade in right now is not the way that it used to be 20, 25 years ago, where you could be a value investor in things and you buy it and hold it till you feel like retiring and you make XYZ amount of money. If you have any investments in anything, quite frankly, you should learn how to trade and read charts. Even if your money's with somebody else, a 401k, a mutual fund, anything, do you think that they're really looking out for you? Are they traders? Some of these people, they're not traders. They can't read a chart to save their life. I mean, honestly. The reality is you have to learn how to do it yourself. Either do it yourself and trade yourself, or learn how to do it yourself to protect your own investments. We do not live in the same environment that we did 20 years ago. This isn't about making money as a value investor. This is about making money trading with the proper entry and the proper exit, and making money in the momentum move and playing on the big money that is constantly trading in the market, moving the market up and down in stocks. That's how you do it. You as a trader, you're trading on that. You follow what I'm saying? Okay, really quickly, I do have time to answer some questions here. How many of these trade setups do you usually get per week, and how many of these trades on average do you get stopped out with a loss? What is your percentage to win ratio? Okay, the reality is that we were just talking about this morning. Somebody said, how many days a month do you not trade? I might not trade 3 days a month. I don't think I don't trade 1 day a week, but I'd say maybe 2 or 3 days a month. I don't take any trades, and that is a good thing. When there is an opportunity, don't do anything. So at least 3 days a month, I don't do anything. Where I don't even see a setup I like, nothing rates even good enough to do. Then there's several days in the month, maybe 2 or 3, where things fail, and I like something, and maybe it's a 19, and it's a 50-50 chance of working. I take it anyways because I like it, and it fails, for example. Actually, EXPR is a perfect example of a down gap that failed on the day last week and rallied. However, it did something in the first 15 minutes of the day, which I call a reverse swoosh. We're not going to talk about that today. It's a topic for another discussion, but the reality is when something goes hard and fast, quick in the opposite direction, you want to take the gap, you lay off. That's a sign that it's either not going to work on the day at all or not going to set up till later, in which case you're not going to get the gap in the first 30 minutes, so you're not looking to do it, which is what I like to do. I like to get it right away. How many do I get on average a week of these? I'd say there's days sometimes I get 2 or 3 I like, and they all might work in the same day. I personally don't do them all. I like to stick on one thing. Friday was an example. A couple of things worked. I think last Wednesday was another example. A bunch of things worked. I only did ULTA on Friday, nothing else. I like to do one thing hog wild. That's my personality. If you rate 2 or 3 things and 2 or 3 set up and work, do them all. Do them all if they rate high and set up. I don't do that, but that's my personality. That's not the way I teach. You can do anything that rates 20 or higher and sets up and trade in the first 30 minutes. You just got to manage yourself. Okay, manage whatever you're doing. If I get 2 or 3 really goodies a week, that's all you need. I mean, you don't need something every day. That's the whole reality of this whole system. And the great thing about it is if you lose, you lose what you lose on the tight stop. And when they go into work, you are getting paid. So the fact is, you keep yourself under control when they don't work and lay off them and get the moves in all the ones that do. And they work far more than they don't. My percentage to win to ratio of my picks, when I get up in the morning and pick something and I rate it, the percentage, I don't know the exact percentage, but I know it's way over 90. It's almost like I rarely get it wrong. And if you don't believe me, I'll refer you to people that know my picks and have been following me for months. The reality is I stick on this one thing. I trade professional bearish gaps. I am the queen of this thing. And there's just nobody that gets my trades better than me. I mean, nobody got that ALTA trade better than me on Friday. I guarantee you. Now, I didn't hold the thing all day. I traded in the morning, had a nice move, called a second trade in it, quit at lunchtime, and went on with my day. Went to a party Friday night, had a great night, had a life. Okay, everything I'm telling you, it's about having a good quality of life. I don't want to sit in front of the computer for my whole life. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I worked a job for 20 years that I worked 7 days a week doing mortgages. I was a slave to the banks I worked for and my real estate agents and customers. I don't want to do that anymore, and I don't need to. Thank God, because I figured this thing out, and that's the beauty of it. So the class I teach now is called the Golden Gap course. I made it myself. I own this myself. It teaches a 26-point rating system to find the best gap to play each day. I made it for myself. It's a 2-day seminar that teaches 6 different plays. Each play teaches how to enter and exit the gap trade. The play is important because this is how you make money. You've got to get past this thing we're trying to squeeze every penny out of a move. Some of these moves I just showed you, you get in, you have a beautiful entry. I love getting the best entry I can. I won't chase something either. I want the best entry, and I get the drop, and so there is a system here. That's where you have to realize that if you can get good at this, it's not gambling trading. It is a system that can provide you with money, but you have got to find one and stick to it. You can't deviate from it either. It's detailed. And this is the reason why the Golden Gap system is so special, because it narrows down quality with a microscopic look at what the gap is telling you. The gap itself and the price the stock is gapping at is telling you if it's going to give you a trade within the first 30 minutes of the day to make money with huge risk to reward. I was having a conversation with someone today. He may be here. The reality is that he said, sometimes these things work, sometimes they don't. I don't know what to do with myself. Yeah, because sometimes gaps aren't good, and you just don't do anything with them. Or sometimes people don't know how to read the chart right. And then I brought up to him as we were discussing MW. Last week, I don't remember the day, MW was a gap up, it was a huge gap up, and someone asked me about fading it. I said, don't touch it as a fade. It's a bullish gap that is a high-rated gap, according to me, Melissa, all right? I said, this is a professional bullish gap that's now changed the trend of the stock that's going up. It's fixed itself today. It's what I call a corrective gap. Don't short it as a fade. It's a buy. And do you know that sucker came in hard like a banshee and had buying in 60 seconds that came into it, like 150,000 shares in 60 seconds then at some crazy time, and got bought and did a tail that was something that you couldn't have drawn on a piece of pencil with a paper any bigger of a tail. It was a crazy thing to short. It wasn't a short. It was a buy. And I think people in my room said, oh, because it looked like a short, but it wasn't a short. It was a buy. How did I know that? I didn't even rate it. I knew it because I know my system so well, and you can too if you learn it. You just get good at doing something, and it's just part of you now. It's just part of you. It just becomes part of you. And that's what's so great about getting good at trading. Once you know how to do it, no one will ever take it away from you. No one will ever take it away from you once you learn it. That's such the beauty of it. The Golden Gap course is so much more than a 2-day class. It's a system. It's an entire system for you to learn and use for yourself to make money trading. And the Golden Gap course teaches you how to grab hold of these profits in the market early in the day and get green. And as you start to do this on a regular basis, it will help your life and trading tremendously. As you make money on a consistent basis in the market day after day, you will have increased confidence in yourself. Can't you hear it in my voice? And confidence builds on itself. It will flow into other areas of your life to improve your life, not just financially, but also your overall well-being. In reference to your relationships with people, the things you're going to be able to do, the decisions you're going to be able to make, and it has to do with the confidence and conviction you have in what you're doing. One of the most valuable things that you learn during the Golden Gap course is to have conviction in the Golden Gap strategy. This conviction will help you produce positive results in your trading and your life. And I'll answer all your questions in a little bit. Let me just get through this. We're almost done. Learn how to trade the Golden Gap. The market is right here. The market is right here. You get up tomorrow morning, the market will be there. If I get up the next day, the market will be there, and it'll be there, and it'll be there, and it'll be there. If you wait to learn how to do this, the market will still be there. 6 months from now, a year from now, 6 years from now, the market will be here. But you might not be where you want to be with your life financially, so why wait? Why wait? The money you desire is for the taking in Golden Gap. It's just a system you have to learn. You do this through the proper knowledge. It's all knowledge-based. It's knowledge-based. It's a complete system, and the Golden Gap rating system equals results. So the class I'm doing is this weekend. It's this Saturday and Sunday, March 23rd and 24th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. The cost of the class is $15.99. If you're interested, email me at melissa@thestockswoosh.com. You can learn how to rate these gaps and practice it to be good for the second quarter earnings season in the market, which starts in April. So it's perfect timing to do the class. Your path to success is the Golden Gap course. You've got to get on the path, though. And really, the biggest part of this course in the first day of the class is, if you ever took a class anyplace else, if you ever read charts with anyone else, you're going to be in the first day of the class, you're going to be like, she's looking at this in a way I never looked at this before. And you might scratch your head. But then by the end of the weekend, you're going to be like, wow, now I know something completely different, because I don't look at charts the same way as everybody out there. Empower yourself to do it. Empower yourself to do it. Start to enjoy your life more. Let trading in the first 30 minutes of the day be your path to abundance. Love what you do. This is so important. I love what I do. I love trading. I love the market. I love teaching. I love talking. And I'm doing a class also at the end of this month that I'm giving away for free for participants in the Golden Gap class this weekend on March 23rd and 24th. You will receive this class for free. This class is about how to get your head on straight with money. It's not about charts at all. It's actually a class that is 100% based on your thought processes with money and how to create wealth in your life. And this class is March 27th from 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock Eastern Time. The cost is normally $350. If you're interested in this class, contact me. However, I'm offering it for free with the Gap class this weekend. So you would pay for the Gap class this weekend, and you get this class on the 27th for free. And so you'd have the system in place for the chart reading. And then you'd have this class to help you go into April, which is all about stuff that is in your head. It's nothing at all about charts, this half-day class. And it is so great because it's really going to help motivate you and clean up some things in your mind to move forward to start to make real money. So it's a 2-for-1 special. All Golden Gap class students in March will receive the Wealth Manifestation class for free. It's 2-for-1. If you're interested, contact me at melissa@thestockswoosh.com. All right, so somebody said here, you know, analyze this and manage my hedge fund. You think I'm not going to do it? Because I read charts very well, and opportunities exist all over the planet, and I put myself out there, and an opportunity could pop up in the sky for me, and I'd be a fool not to take it. When I say this is a chance of an opportunity of a lifetime, I'm not kidding. I'm not going to do this for the next 20 years. There will be a time when I don't do this at all, and I might teach someone else to do it, but you're not going to learn it from me. And I'm the one that made it up. I'm the one that invented it. I'm the one that created it. Nobody knows it like me, and nobody ever will. That's the reality. So this really is an opportunity for you to learn how to do it from me, the one that created it. After the 2-day classes, there are a follow-up class later on, like a grad class, to go over your trades. It's amazing. Now, you know what? I talk to people that have taken my class all the time. They email me like every other day. I talk to people all the time. I love talking about trades. And you don't have to pay me to do it. So there's no follow-up class. You can email me trades. I'll look at them for you. I'll look at them for free. I'll go over. I'll talk to you on the phone. Call me. I want people to learn. I want people to get good. I think it's possible. I wouldn't take the time. I like people that want to do well. Okay, I don't like quitters. I want people that want to learn the information and say, I really want to do this and motivated. And I will help those people. So there is no grad class, but you have me. I'm your mentor. You can email me, snag at a chart, send it to me, call me. I'll answer your questions. You know, reach out to me on Facebook. I have a phone number. Call me. I'm a real person doing this as an individual, and I'm here for people that want to learn it. And I want to teach it to people. Let me just see. There's so many questions here. Let me just make sure I didn't miss anything. Just see. I'm only showing gap down trades. Do I also trade gap up trades? And if not, please explain. I personally do not trade bullish gaps. Can you take my class in the 26-point rating system and flip it? Yes. Do I teach that in the class? No. Could you do that? Yes. Will they work the exact same? Not exactly, but very similar. The reality is that bullish gaps don't move as fast. For some reason, I don't know why, as bearish gaps. Longs take longer to get going and go. And bearish gaps seem to just drop out of the sky. Part of it is the mentality of what's going on when a stock gaps down. Like I explained earlier, there's panic. So I prefer to trade bearish gaps. I think there is more money to be made on the short side. I think there's faster money to be made on the short side. I think there's a panic that's involved with it that creates people doing stuff that they have to get out, and it starts a momentum move that can sometimes just go on and drop into the day and drop for days and weeks and years. Whereas the long stuff, sometimes it takes a while. Okay, does anyone have any other questions? If anyone wants to stay, we'll pop over into my trading room and look at to see if there's any earnings out tonight, if anybody wants to look at it, to bring up some charts and I can answer some specific chart questions. Is anybody interested in that? If you are, we'll go over. If not, we can finish for the night. It's up to you guys. What do you want to do? Sure. All right, let's do it. Let's do it and save your questions. I'll answer the rest of the questions like Kathy boop us over. So everybody hang on, and we'll go over, and then I'll remember the questions about the account size, the trading room. I will remember. Kathy's going to boost us over right now.